into this. Right, I've been in hit go live. I'm waiting for the update and I need to press the down arrow button. He says, good evening, my name's Matt, welcome aboard. This is obviously live and we leave all screw ups in as we go through. So good evening, I'm Matt, welcome aboard. In tonight's live session, I'm just being tentative because I can see it over there on the computer to see if it's working or not. If you are on live, you can let me know if the audio's good and if the video's good, that'd be most appreciated. And with that said, let's plough on. So we have come here to see this lovely boat, and yes, there's a massive lag on here tonight. This is a Sabrina, and it is, you heard it first, very fast. But that's not the topic of tonight's video. Instead, Mr. Postman came to me today with a little box. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at tonight. Now, unfortunately, this is not the Dart V2, although those of you which have been hanging out on the community tab might already know about the binary version 2, which turned up here today, completely out of the blue. Literally got a message, Matt, did you want one of these? I was like, yeah. So I might spray it white and transfer the sticky labels over, the stickers over. Anyway, time for us to plough on. Let's get into this. I need to press the down arrow over there. Do remember, this model is bought out of my own money for my own abuses. This is not a freebie for review. We don't do freebies here. That's why sometimes my opinions, views, or findings may differ from the general norm. And also always keep in the back of your mind, it is always model specific as well. As we saw literally just yesterday evening with the Goblin. Goblin, bit frustrating around the centre of gravity. However, give it its due. It did fly. And to be frankly honest, the other Drawfly EF Extra was better value for money because it just flies better, if I'm perfectly honest. Right, if you have any questions or comments as we go along, there is a live chat on the right hand side of your screen. Feel free to join in. Of course, if you're watching the recorded version, then just ask any questions or comments as we go along. So that is the bit of a giveaway. It is a Dart 250G. Now, 250G, that stands for 250 grams. Now, we will be checking the weight of this model later on, and I've got my special scales. It's been calibrated to exactly 250 grams, and everything which we put on it, in it or around it is 250 grams. I'm sure it's the same 250 gram calculator that you've got in your house as well. So we will be measuring that away. Now, I haven't been in here yet, so let's have a quick look and see what we've got inside. Oh, brilliant. Now, we have a nice instruction manual. I think I'll be able to cope with that. This one's really funny. It's got the fins, they point inwards. And, yeah. Ooh. Oh, also note, I've been waiting for ages. Oh, got stickers. I might actually use those. We'll see. A little note here is that, let me just flip back to the main camera. There we go. I have been waiting for like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks for the one to come from China. And it just was not in stock. So I actually caved in and bought the FPV one from the UK warehouse, and I bought that on Monday or on the weekend at some point. I can't really remember. Anyway, it turned up today, so that's happy days for my herpes. So I was very chuffed about that. Anyway, getting back to the model itself. So before we go there any further, we'll have a look at this. You get a leaflet with the binary, which I'm not going to pass any comment on that at the moment. A900, absolutely fantastic. Skyhunter, mini Skyhunter. I bought one of the original ones and didn't really like it. The mini AR wing, I've got that up there. It's mental. Skyhunter Racing is the mini Skyhunter. Big Skyhunter is massive. F1 wing, absolutely brilliant. And the HD wing, which goes by many other names, that's pretty good all round. So also in the box, we get some more stickers. We get a cover and some little black bits. And an FPV canopy piece as well. We get 2 propellers because this model does run on 2S or 3S. Now, from what I've heard, and please correct me if I'm wrong, those of you which are running 2S, you have just been running with the larger propeller on it, which is the 5x5R. I might be wrong. But again, those of you which have owned this model, are you actually running it around? Those of you which are flying it on 2S, are you using the larger propeller with that? Now, it's lovely and well packed in here. They've obviously taken their time to make sure all... Oh, fantastic. There's one bit here pre-built. And, oh, brilliant. There we go. I'll just put that one to one side. And it's lovely and well packed. There's no way it's going to get damaged in transit. Oh, fantastic! It's exactly what I've always wanted. That is what was exactly on the picture on the website. So let's get that out of the way. Oops, kind of hit the boat. Bit of an unexpected gift in the box, to be honest, which was this. I don't know, have you ever had one of those? I genuinely thought that was really cool. So, yeah, a little dab of glue, and even Matt could put that together. I was quite surprised. So, on to a serious point. Where is it? I put it up here right away. Right, no apologies. I couldn't help it. I was a child in a chocolate box, and I went in there and I had to have a look, and I promptly did. So, yeah, I've already been in there. Hands up, guilty as charged. I was really excited. Come on, I can't be good all the time and save you the first view on there. I couldn't help it. I really wanted this one. And, yeah, Matt has already been in the box. And I'm not apologising at all. Right. Let's go and take a quick look at this. Very, very simple build. The fins literally clip on. Oh, there's me yanking the servo wire out. I've got some electronics in there. It's push fit. Now, I was half expecting to find some of those servo connectors, which we've seen on the ZOHD Drift. So those of you know with the Drift, you've got the servo connectors in the wing. And that works out absolutely fantastically well. And I was half expecting that to find that on this model. However, that is not the case. It's just some sticky pads which they've got in there, and it's just a spar in the middle. Taking a look now, you will notice that I've already got a collection of parts on here. Now, let me just put all these bits together, and let me just turn the 250 gram scales on. All right, so that's on. Okay, and if I put that on there, and oh wait, now it's 250 grams. That model is exactly 250 grams with the entire contents which I've got inside of that. We'll take a look at what the contents are right now. So let me move my special 250 gram scales off to one side. So build time for this is actually going to be pretty quick. The hardest job which I'm going to have is, and I've still yet to decide on that, is exactly where I'm going to put the components. Now it's obvious that you're going to have the FPV camera at the front, motor at the back. But video transmitter, and GPS unit, and the crossfire unit. So that'll give you an idea what I intend doing with it. It's their exact placement is still somewhat questionable at the moment because I haven't worked out exactly where the CG is going to end up. But moving forwards, we'll take a look and see what we got on there. Now, I have picked out two potential GPS pucks. If at all possible, I will use that GPS puck. And the reason why I'll go for that one, I'll decase it as well if I do end up using that one. And the reason for that one is that it's a much, I'll show you. It's a much larger unit. And yes, we do pay a little bit more by a few grams extra. But if you look at the size of that GPS receiver unit compared to that one, I never run into satellite issues. I've never run into satellite issues with that one before, whereas the other one, I have had intermittent issues over an extended period of time. So I'm not entirely sure which one I'm going to go for, but if I can, I will go for the larger one. Okay, so we'll put those to one side there a moment. Now, already mentioned TBS Crossfire, which is... You're either a Dragalink fan or a TBS Crossfire fan. They both work really well. I'm invested in Crossfire, so that's what I'm going with. I have picked out a Foxit camera. It just says GW wide dynamic range on the back. I can't really remember using that one. I may swap because I've got two of these on order, and it really depends if they turn up in the next day or two, whether I do that or not, and of course I can change it later. I may go for the Foxit Razor Nano, and the reason why I may go for that is because it's absolutely tiny, and if I'm going to offset a few grams with a larger GPS, I might save it in the web camera, because look, you can look at the physical size between the two of them. That is a little diddy thing. The only negative is those do get a little bit warm, the Razer Nano, and they only accept 5 to 7 volts as well, but that wouldn't be any issue. For the flight controller, which I've already bought and had arrived here from Hobby RC this week, I will accidentally and totally on purpose leave that on the desk, because I appreciate that turning up in literally next to no time. I will be setting mine up and running it with 2S Lion Pack. Now, those are the batteries which I've been and pulled out, especially for this model. Those are LG MJ1 3500 milliampere Lion Packs, and I will be running this on 2S. With that similar motor, if I grab the Drift, it's quite nice now because I've got a collection of ones which I can give you as an example. So with the Drift, very similar, exactly the same motor. This model in the sky, an hour in short, for exactly the same batteries. And I'll give you a real life example, which was on Tuesday. Went out flying because I had a load of stuff to get done, and I had a day off work per se, although I work for myself. And went out and got it in the sky. I did a waypoint mission for a video which is coming up very, very shortly. I've got the footage all I wanted now. So we did maybe 10-15 minutes talking about that on the flight line with the model in the sky, tracking it around. And then it went off and did 45 minutes in the sky. Absolutely brilliant. And it used 1,806 milliamperes. And it actually turned out to be quite windy up there in the end. Total distance was absolutely crazy. So that's the kind of thing which you can expect with a light floaty model. Now, I'm sure many of you may have already seen the videos of these Dart 250Gs doing, best part of 20 kilometers in a straight line, turning around and coming back again. Absolutely nuts. Now, I do apologize that I've not really been paying attention to your comments on there right now. I just saw someone's using a Matech 411 wingboard in theirs. So that was the big red brainstorming. I will actually be using the Matech, is it 411 WSE, which I've got the servo leads stuck on there, and I need to go a bit careful. Thank you. There we go. So the flight controller which I've gone for is that right? Yeah, Matech 411 WSE. You'll notice that it's a double stacked board, and the reason why I've gone for this flight controller over, per se, just a single board flight controller, one of the small ones which I'm here looking for, because I had it on my desk literally earlier, is that these have a current sensor on them, so I will have a very, very, very good idea on the state of the Lion Pack and its flying abilities. And of course, nobody in their right minds would go out and fly at 20 kilometers in a straight line on day one. If you were to be doing something like that, and I'm sure you've seen the videos and the people doing stuff like that, they would go out and they would slowly build up to that. They would get used to the model, iron out all the kinks, and then just slowly work with the model to build up the relationship and the trust that the model will do what you need it to do. So yeah, going for the Matech 411 WSE board, no brainer, and it's specifically down to number one, the ease of putting the components in there. So like the servo leads, it's just going to be basically plug and play, which I really like for the setup. That's pretty cool. And also that means that I could potentially save the config for that one and take that out and put that in another model relatively easily. Because it just works really well. The Matech products are just fantastic out of the box. But the big one for me really is the current sensor for that. I do have an FPV transmitter to go in there as well. Shock horror, I probably will be keeping the ZOHD ESC, which is in the model, and the reason being is because that's exactly the same ESC which is in that Drift, and it works out really, really, really well. My only challenge right now is the exact layout of the components which I have, which that's kind of obvious so far, but then where I end up with the receiver, GPS unit and video transmitter, I'm not entirely sure until I work this one out. So With that said, what I'd like to do is just pause for a moment and get across to your comments and take a moment just to take a look at those and see and look for your views, because I know many of you may have already been and purchased this model. Some of you may have seen it before in the past and not really given it the time of day. However, all the videos which I've seen of it, and there's enough of them out there now, it's not only been bought or given to reviewers, it's been out for a good, say, 6 months or so, so there's lots of people out there with them. I do know that you need more elevator movement than roll movement. That's to be expected just from the style of the model. But besides that, there's plenty of configs out there, and I do really think it'll be a case of just hitting that ground running with the config, and off we go. Let's have a quick look. James says 45 minutes on 2 vape batteries smoking. Yeah, you couldn't vape for 45 minutes continuously at all, James. In fact, let me just push this back to the big screen so it's a little bit more personal there. Let's have a look. Big Red Brainstorming says, I fly mine on 2S with the 5-inch prop Endure, but it's pretty gutless. Yeah, I'm not so let's just put this into perspective. I'm not expecting it to be fast, although I am expecting it to do about 30 miles an hour continuously. I'm not expecting it to be mental, crazy, aerobatic and things like that, which I'm sure it could be. Those of you which would be looking for this to fly at line of sight, I'm sure it would meet your requirements. However, the hint is in the name, 250G. The idea is that it's a very lightweight aircraft, which you could set up for FPV if you so wish. That also reminds me, we'll get to that in a moment. Or you could perhaps push it to the limits and what you could do with it, maybe distance-wise. Now, one of the negatives of me having to buy it from the UK warehouse is that the only option which they had was that I had to go for the FPV kit. So I got a little ZOHD C400 piggyback camera, which by all accounts is crap, but we'll give it a go anyway. And the other one, which I've been really looking forward to, and I'm going to do a quick, I'm going to do, and let me get this right, I'm going to do a very quick video on. The reason being, this is brand new, still sealed, and this is the ZOHD Copilot. Now, I don't feel that there's any value, get that on camera, I don't feel there's any value in me going over this with you and trying to tell you how good this is, because the person who needs this is actually Craig, who we fly with. So Craig is, what should we say? Not really into iNav, should we say that? Okay, something like this is going to be absolutely perfect for Craig. So we're going to take a quick look in a video, quick run over it to see what it can be doing. I'm going to put it back in its box, and I'm going to go and give it to Craig. Well, Craig's going to give me some money for it because it helps offset how much I pay for that model. But I'm going to give that to Craig, and then we're going to catch up with Craig in a week or two's time. And see how he gets on with it. And I think that would be the best review ever of a simple flight controller, because if Craig can set it up, anyone can set it up. It should be that simple. So I did get that on completely on purpose. Well, annoyingly on purpose. Anyway, getting back to your comments a moment. And then what time is it? Because Matt is on a deadline this evening. Oh, we got plenty of time. Fantastic. Right. Moving on to your comments, any idea where these are in stock? Very limited in stock. Yes, Adam, Hodge. Yeah, I had loads of problems trying to get hold of one. I caved in and bought the FPV kit for best part of 90 quid out of the UK warehouse from Banggood. Might want to check your local warehouses on Banggood and see what you can find. So do look around. They are out there. You may have to pay a premium for them. Let's have a quick. Stephen says and Stephen, thank you for that tip. I really appreciate it. Which is, Stephen says, when launching, go full throttle and throw it hard. It's a little underpowered. I think, yeah, I've also heard that as well. So yeah, I'll make sure that later on with like auto launch, which by the way, massive fan of auto launch now with iNav, is pretty damn cool. And I'll make sure those settings are really high. And I'll make sure we'll get some speed underneath it, because obviously being at 250 grams with that wingspan, and just because of the style of the model, you really do need to get the air underneath it. So I'm not opposed to giving a model a really hard throw. So Stephen, I really appreciate that. Steph Mark says, I run mine at 243 grams on 3S. It's pretty agile. Steph, I bet it is pretty mad. I've seen these people smashing these around the sky on 3S. and they look like really, really good fun. However, and again, this is what I would normally do but in a couple of days' time, it's the funny farm, and I want to get iNav set up in it. What I would perhaps normally do is, and experience tells me that I perhaps should do that, and I've done that with the other models lately, is that just go and get it flown, like we did with the Drift Maiden. Get it built, get it, take it somewhere, just have a quick flight with it so we can see it working, and happy days. However, this one, I know what I want to do with it, and it is to set it up with those components which we have been and seen, so it's clear cut for me. And also the weather here in the UK is absolutely awful today, tomorrow. So I only really get maybe Saturday and Sunday as a build day, and I know my Friday and Saturday is a build day, and I already know that I've lost my Friday because of the amount of video editing which I need to get done for you guys for YouTube. So one day I'm not going to cram it in, I'm going to spill it over now over a couple of days, especially because the weather's so bad tomorrow. So happy days on that one. Let's have a quick look. Wes says Keith put 35% up for a launch. Yeah, I bet that would help. I definitely think that would help on there. It's just trying to get the airspeed up underneath it as well. Howdy, Robert, as well. What is your weight on the 250? Robert, my special scales here, and of course this may go down a bit once the time comes up. Let me just put this back down. Those of you which missed the special 250 gram scales, so let me just zero that out, put that on there, and of course we want to put a propeller on there as well, don't we? And maybe a few extra grams just to make sure we're not cheating ourselves. No, it still says 250 grams on my scales. So yeah, about 250 grams is the answer to that, Robert. Right, moving on. James says, I use Copilot, it's bloody good. I do believe it is pretty damn good. From what I've been seeing of it, it is very, very good indeed, and really, really straightforward to get set up as well. It's just, what do the flashing LEDs mean? I think that's the hardest piece for it, isn't it, really? Brian Summers said, just threw mine yesterday with iNav auto launch for the first time yesterday. Worked great. The settings for the fixed wing Facebook group. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going off to get the config for that, because I know Mark had gave some extra movement for the Elevon movements on those. So that's what I'll also be looking for as well. And also, one of the nice things about being... I've got the cameras messed up, sorry. Let's go back to that one. One of the nice things about being late to a party, especially with a model like this, which has been really quite popular, is that someone's been and done the auto tune for it and maybe worked out any little niggles with it. So for the likes of me and you, is that, as Big Brian said a few moments ago, all we're going to do is nip across to the iNav fixed wing group, borrow someone else's config, paste it in there specifically around the PIDs, etc., and we're going to be golden, because it's not going to move that far away at all, is it? Let's have a look. Yeah, 250 grams, happy days. Right, on that note, it is time for me to wrap up. This was the semi-unboxing of the Dart 250G. Let me just move all the stuff out of it so you can have a look at it, maybe up on the main camera. First impressions, I think it's well moulded. The foam is absolutely fantastic. The wings are pretty rigid. Yeah, the only place which I might, just going off topic slightly, the only one place I might add a little bit of laminate is just here on this front skid. And the reason for that is just to keep it pretty. And I did exactly the same thing on the ZOHD Dart, which just put a little bit of lam on the bottom just to keep the bottom clean and pretty, and that also means that when it lands it does skid down as well, so that's pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure how well these fins will last up over time, especially these bottom pieces, so I may also put a little bit of laminate on the bottom of those. I'm pretty good with getting laminate onto awkward shapes now, so I may also do that too. Besides that, yeah, the only difficulty I'm going to have is just trying to get those components laid out right. I know it has a GPS slot just up underneath there. It would make sense for me to use that, but I am keeping things open. I may end up with a VTX on the front and the receiver at the back, or I may end up with a VTX at the back and the receiver at the front. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing config-wise, as in for the exact layout. I will work that over now over the next day or two. But that is the Dart 250G. As I stated back at the beginning, bought out of my own money for my own abuses. I will be setting this up with that Maytech flight controller and of course iNav in there as well. And I cannot wait to get this one out on Sunday, and because the weather looks absolutely fantastic on Sunday, and share some, well, the maiden with you, because I think that will be quite good fun. And also go out and get some flying with it as well and find out what the kind of efficiency is, because what I'm specifically looking for, and this is why the one really got my attention, whereas the drift, which really, I'll have to get that back down again now. The drift, which really does sit in the sky and float around for days, and it is just, there's nothing quite like sat on the bench, chillaxing with a cup of coffee and a drift in the sky. I am a massive fan of the drift. However, the one downside to the drift is that it doesn't get anywhere particularly fast, which I want to stress, that's not a problem. Okay, let's be absolutely clear here. I quite like the idea, and I've been thoroughly enjoying that 45 minutes worth of flight time. It's so bad I have to carry an extra pair of 18650 batteries in my pocket for the goggles, because the chances are I might drain the pack while I'm in the sky. So yes, so drift, fantastic for the amount of flight time. Dart 250G, which we've been here and seen this evening, I'm looking for that one so it can get out and get a little bit more speed on, if that makes sense, so we can perhaps cover a little bit more ground than what we could do with the drift, for example. Does that make sense? Does that give you the idea of why these two models can, well, potentially, assuming it goes well, coexist in my rack of FPV models? Hope that kind of makes sense. Right, on that note, let me have a quick on there. Toby says, what plane would you recommend for a long-range FPV model without a shadow of a doubt? And there is, and we were discussing this earlier, and it has to be the XUAV Mini Talon. Okay, Toby? The reason why I recommend this model is very simple. It is cheap. It is well known. It has been out for years. And you can put a wide variety of batteries in it. If you look on my YouTube channel, you'll see the full setup, which I've got up on mine. You can do proximity flying. You can do, if you dare, tree bashing. You can do low-level flying. You can do high-level flying. And it will go for miles, in short. And the biggest one, it's cheap and it flies stupidly well. Now, I do need to give you some bad news, is that I did read literally yesterday, XUAV have taken an order of 800 units of the Mini Talon, so I would probably guess a government institution or similar has been and taken a large order of these for testing purposes of some form. Could just be straightforward cannon fodder, to be honest. And you may find it a little bit difficult to get hold of them, but Toby, my wholehearted answer is a XUAV Mini Talon for 50, 60 quid, whatever what they go for now. Absolutely brilliant. The other one, don't skimp on the motor. Really do get yourself a Sunny Sky X2216 1250 kV. Absolutely, though, that is the best motor for the Mini Talon for all-round flying, longer distances in and just mucking around, you know. You can go lower kV, maybe into the, I forget which one it is now, 2214, I think it was at 980 kV, 900 kV. You can go bigger like that and lower kV, but the Sunny Sky 1250 kV is the one to go for. So yeah, good question there, by the way, Toby. So a look. Some wind be on ice on the weekend. So I've got to look at your comments as well. Right, yes, on that note, James says FX61. James, my first proper aircraft was the Zeta FX61 Phantom Flying Wing. It's an absolutely beautiful model. It is slightly more expensive, about the £80 to £100 mark. The biggest negative to the Phantom Flying Wing, and those of you who don't know, it's like this one, made by exactly the same company, Zeta. Let me get that one. Okay, and that's a Z84, so 84, whatever it was. And an FX61 is a 61-inch version of this model. And it flies absolutely lovely. However, and it's a big however, the second you get any headwind with the Phantom, it just stops dead. It just doesn't cope with any headwind. The Mini Talon, it'll fly for days at 30 or 40 miles an hour, and it will cope with a headwind, not a problem at all. Phantom, flying wing, it just puts the brakes on. Such a thick cord on the wing. It does not cope with winds very well, although exceptionally stable and absolutely brilliant to fly. And like I said, it was the first proper FPV model which I owned and set up, and I love it because of that. So yeah, if you ever get the opportunity, what I'm trying to say is that the Mini Talon's better, but if you ever get the opportunity to maybe get a Phantom FX61, get one, because they're really nice. I genuinely mean that, really, really nice models. Right, it is time for me to go. I would like to say a massive... what motor would you use for the Micro Talon? Don't know about the Micro Talon, to be perfectly honest there, Phil. Right, it is time for me to go. If you have any questions or comments about the Dart 250G, please let me know in the comments section underneath this video. Of course, if you're new here, howdy, I'm Matt, welcome aboard. Don't forget to press the subscribe button underneath this video, and of course, to hit the bell notification so that YouTube notifies you when the next video is out. That, of course, could be us on the flight line this weekend with the Dart 250G, or maybe one of the other two pieces of phone which I've not alluded to you just yet, if that makes any sense. And yeah, don't forget to check the community tab on this channel for YouTube as well. And the reason why I'm saying that, I think we're on our 6th update so far for today. And you get to see silly stuff and other projects which I'm working on, like the boats, which you saw at the beginning, or maybe the binary version 2, which was completely unexpected, and that turned up here earlier today. So with that said, for myself, Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to join me here this evening, and I'll see you again shortly. Oh, massive hint, we have a special Friday Funny Farm episode coming out on Friday night, and tomorrow night we also have another unboxing, but unfortunately that one is recorded, but that will be out for you tomorrow evening as well, and they're really, really cool. You wait to see them. They're tiny. Anyway, for myself, Matt, I've got to go and swing some kettles. Have a brilliant evening. Cheerios!